Thus, standardization can contribute to the creation of level playing fields, which will enable companies to compete on their merits, the merits of the quality of goods and services and work experience they offer. A level playing field provides a quality floor which sustains producers and workers anywhere in the world. As there are now hundreds of thousands of facilities certified to ISO 9000 and ISO 14000, there has grown an interest in extending this useful system to workplace quality. In this way, customers can choose products on the basis of their color, their size, their quality, their price, and the quality of the workplace in which they are produced. I'm going to try to describe the situation which led to the development of CEPAA and how we sought and still seek to ameliorate it. CEPAA, CEPA, oversees a systematic effort to assure the quality of social audits and reporting so that they can be more useful for improving people's lives. CEPA is responsible for overseeing the implementation of a voluntary standard on workplace conditions, SA 8000, Social Accountability 8000, designed to be usable in any country or any industry. I will describe the content and development of SA 8000 and how a number of organizations are seeking to use it to improve working conditions. CEPA seeks to bring together, to engage concerned stakeholders in business and the human rights, labor, non-governmental organizations, international organizations, and even government, communities, to cooperate and reach consensus on an approach to improving workplaces. There are three ways that have been primarily addressed so far: a 20-person advisory board which meets at least 3 times a year, a consultative guidance document revision process and committee, and social accountability auditing training courses. There have also been 2 sets of CEPA-led pilot audits to test if the SA 8000 standard is useful and usable in both manufacturing and agriculture. There will be a significant extension of the guidance consultation process during 1999. This will take the form of consultative workshops in Brazil, the Philippines, and elsewhere. Some of you may wish to participate in these learning partnerships. We hope so. Each of these activities will feature participants from several or numerous countries and stakeholder groups. Those involved hope that implementation of SA 8000 can help level the playing field for ethical producers worldwide. Well, what is the situation which this program works to improve? Well, even as we approach a millennium, many people, adults and children, worldwide, are working at jobs that are often dangerous, unhealthy, and inhumane. People in the United States or the European Union sometimes tend to think of that as being in other places. But at some factories in the US and Europe, even though few children work full-time, conditions are not good, especially for immigrant populations who don't speak the national language or hold citizenship. The United States Department of Labor finds wage or working hour violations in half of the U.S. workplaces it investigates. A similar ratio may well be common elsewhere. Today's consumers are increasingly interested in these issues. In one survey, 84% of interviewees said they would pay $1 more for a $20 shirt if they could be confident it wasn't manufactured in a sweatshop. How can they have that confidence? My teenage daughter doesn't want to buy goods made by someone younger than she is. How can she know? Today's investors are increasingly interested in these issues as well. A growing percentage of securities investors seeking confidence that they are investing in socially responsible companies or socially screened mutual funds want information. How can they get that confidence? Company owners are increasingly interested in protecting the value of their brand, in keeping a public license to operate. In a world where customers say, "Don't tell us you are doing the right thing, you must show us." How can companies protect their good name in such a world? The International Fair Trade Organization estimates 15% of consumers would be ethical purchasers. How can they get the information to employ ethical criteria? They are trying. Customers are asking hard questions about the internal corporate practices behind many brand name products they buy. Even students on American campuses are asking the licensees of the college names, what are the working conditions under which these goods are made? SEPA is engaged in helping them, us, get some answers. We're all shoppers. Retailers may have similar information problems. Firms may understand and share such a concern and want to do the right thing to maintain and protect their reputation and to defend themselves from attack. And some see that social accountability is a competitive asset. Product differentiation can be based on ethical workplaces in addition to price and quality. Indeed, workplace and product quality go together. They are components of the excellence of which Dr. Malevski spoke. Yet, managers find it extremely difficult to insist on and verify responsibility when dealing with a network of hundreds or even thousands of suppliers spanning the globe. And suppliers, squeezed by fiercely competitive pricing, may need technical or financial assistance to adjust. Internal codes of conduct, pioneered by Levi Strauss, have emerged as a partial answer. But there have been several major problems with implementing that approach. A single factory may be subject to audits from 4 or 5 different retailers, customers, whose monitoring teams seek to verify compliance with those 4 or 5 codes respectively. The Council on Economic Priorities, CEP, the 30-year-old nonprofit corporate social responsibility research organization with which SEPA is affiliated, has surveyed 360 U.S. companies in 40 industries. 71 of these companies reported that they have a code of conduct. Few of the codes, however, cover the core elements comprehensively. By this I mean 2/3 address discrimination, forced labor, child labor, and workplace safety. But only 1 in 5 addresses freedom of association, fewer than 10% a living wage, and only 17% even require 1 day off in 7. Very few have well-specified verification or monitoring practices or use professionally qualified independent monitors. The lack of transparency and independent verification can result in credibility problems instead of solutions. A good solution, we believe, is to adapt the same model used to ensure quality control, ISO 9000. It uses a voluntary, verifiable, international standard that can be audited by expert third parties. It is a conformity assessment system. Like ISO 9000, SA 8000 implementation has 2 levels, certification at the production level and accreditation at the auditor level. Like ISO 9000, it has systems for corrective and preventive action which encourage continuous improvement. Like ISO 9000, it has an extensive management system requirement, so firms can demonstrate that they have ongoing procedures and ongoing practices which institutionalize acceptable practice. SA 8000 auditing processes require extra training for auditors, extra qualifications, such as local knowledge and experience. As is the case with ISO 9000, many companies will need assistance in establishing the quality systems and high enough quality ones to support the standard's performance requirements. SA 8000 adds 3 elements crucial to social auditing to ISO 9000. Quite specific performance requirements, consultations with interested parties, local human rights organizations, and a more extensive complaints and appeals process. SA 8000 compliance may be assessed 3 ways. 1, internally. 2, by the purchaser, retailer, or its consultants. Or 3, by a third party, an external party with no vested interest. Only third-party assessment can accord the right to use the SA 8000 mark. This third-party certificate can be presented to all of a supplier's customers and prospective customers as assurance that it provides a safe and decent workplace. SA 8000 is consensus-based, developed by a year-long consultation process among a diverse advisory board with members from 7 countries representing commercial and non-commercial stakeholders, some of which have been Avon Products, Otto Versand, Toys R Us, The Body Shop, Sainsbury's, the Brink Foundation for Children's Rights, the National Child Labor Committee, the Ethical Trading Initiative, SGS ICS, an international certification company, and KPMG. Academics from the University of Texas and Columbia University, the International Textile, Garment, and Leather Workers Federation. SA 8000 and the auditing system were tested in 4 trial audits in 1997 and 3 more in 1998. These took place in New York, Pennsylvania, Honduras, Mexico, California, Costa Rica, and Spain. Participants in those trial audits have included Deloitte & Touche, KPMG, BVQI, another international certification firm, AXE Testing Labs, SGS, various technical experts, SEPA staff and auditors, and customer companies. One of the things we have learned is the likelihood that many participants would need consultant assistance in preparing for SA 8000 audits. The hard work of the advisory board in reaching consensus on the standard and on the procedures exemplifies an adage which I recently heard for the first time. It may be very well known to other people. One finger cannot pick up a stone. This board works together as though they believe that to be true and well worth doing. The Council on Economic Priorities Accreditation Agency was incorporated in May 1997 with these goals. 1, undertake impartial assessment of social accountability certifiers to assure their competence and to encourage non-governmental organizations to apply for accreditation. 2nd, monitor ongoing compliance of social accountability certifiers and their procedures. Make sure they're doing the job properly. 3, maintain a list of accredited certifiers and SA 8000 certified facilities. 4, review and resolve complaints. 5th, develop a consultative process for producing a guidance document. And 6th, promote training in social accountability auditing technique. SEPA audits those organizations that seek to be accredited to issue the SA 8000 certification mark. SA 8000 audits verify compliance and identify any major and minor non-conformances. The auditor confirms that majors are addressed before certifying and granting the right to display the SA 8000 mark. But minor non-conformances do not block certification unless they are not corrected by the time of the next regularly scheduled surveillance audit. Each of these audits is preceded by a due diligence consultation with local human rights groups, trade unions, and non-governmental organizations. SA 8000 has similar performance requirements to those in the recently issued codes of First, the Ethical Trading Initiative, which is a UK organization of companies, trade unions, non-governmental organizations, and the British government Department for International Development, and also to the code of the Clean Clothes Campaign, which is a Netherlands-led, European Union-wide non-governmental organization. As various organizations have worked on these issues of workplace conditions, many have reached consensus on workplace code elements. And these code elements do not stand alone. They reinforce each other. SA 8000's 8 performance elements constitute a stable, 8-sided structure, supported by a 9th requirement by management and documentation systems. For example, the level of adult wages is inversely correlated with levels of child employment. The higher the level of adult wages, the fewer children who are put to work. SA 8000 is based on 11 widely signed conventions of the International Labour Organization, on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and on the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. The SA 8000 standard covers 9 essential areas: child labor, forced labor, health and safety, freedom of association and collective bargaining, discrimination, discipline, working hours, compensation, and management systems. If and where the standard, the ILO conventions, and the local law disagree, the strictest applies. You will see these requirements of SA 8000 summarized in your participants' manuals. I would like now to point out some of the more significant elements of 4 of the requirements. Under the child labor requirement, a company may not simply fire underage workers, but must establish policies for remediation. The children need to be placed somewhere, preferably in a school, not just thrown out on the street. Under the compensation requirement, the wages for a normal work week must be enough to live on. People shouldn't have to work overtime in order to eat. Under the freedom of association requirement, if unions are illegal in a country, the company must provide another means of hearing worker concerns. And under the management systems requirement, a company must provide evidence of ongoing implementation of the other 8 requirements. It must also demonstrate control over its suppliers. Let's look now at guidance. A guidance document, which is 62 pages long and growing, to SA 8000, provides examples of best practice, incorporates field experience, clarifies SA 8000 requirements, provides a common reference for compliance, and gives examples of objective evidence of compliance. Like SA 8000, this guidance is being developed in consultation with a wide variety of stakeholders. During 1998, 4 successive drafts were disseminated for comment and consultation to business, unions, and non-governmental organizations in several countries. The guidance was also worked on at several day-long guidance committee meetings. The 1999 version has recently been completed. SEPA intends to bring it to workshops in Asia, in Latin America and in Eastern Europe during 1999. As I mentioned, we expect the first consultative workshop to take place in Brazil in mid-1999. Additional guidance will also be developed as a result of recommendations from those who participated in the 3 agricultural pilot audits which took place in 1998, and from the work of a special guidance subcommittee for agriculture. As for training, SA 8000 auditors are required to supplement their ISO 9000 or ISO 14000 skills with specific training in social auditing. SA 8000 courses emphasize case studies, role-playing, and learning from each other. Participants in every course SEPA has conducted have praised the opportunity to learn from the experiences of other trainees. Attendance at such courses so far has been evenly split between certification auditors and others. The others have come from a large variety of categories: insurance companies, consultants, retailers, human rights organizations, agricultural and clothing brand name companies, etc., etc. Non-governmental organization participation is needed at every session of the course. These courses are 4-day SA 8000 courses taught by SEPA. It is important that such training be available widely, and to that end, course accreditation is offered, and 3 organizations have applied to offer accredited SA 8000 training. Less formal training is also important for people who will not be conducting certification audits, but wish to learn about them. Seminars for managers and suppliers are starting to take place, for example. Looking now at accreditation, we find that 3 companies, SGS ICS, DNV, Det Norsk Veritas, and BVQI, have been accredited, licensed, so far by SEPA to conduct audits against SA 8000. These are 3 of the largest certification companies in the world, and thus the auditing service is available in many, many countries. SEPA employs auditors with extensive experience in ISO 9000 and social accountability auditing. Our auditors review an applicant firm's procedures, personnel records, and staffing. They interview workers and managers and examine records. They witness an SA 8000 audit performed by employees of the applicant firm. If each of those stages of auditing of investigation is satisfactory, then SEPA grants accreditation for 3 years, and we conduct 6 monthly surveillance audits of the accredited company. Looking now at certification, we find that a number of organizations are conducting SA 8000 certification audits. With some fanfare, the first certificate of compliance to SA 8000 was presented to Avon Products on June 2, 1998, signifying a successful audit at a facility Avon owns and operates in Suffern in New York State. Since then, 2 more Avon factories have earned certification, and certified facilities also exist in China and in Italy. There is a backlog of audits in several countries, including China. The procedure for a certification audit is as follows. First, a firm, a company, which feels it is in compliance with the SA 8000 standard, hires an accredited certification firm to audit it to confirm that compliance exists. Second, the auditing firm reviews the applicant's workplace procedures. Third, the auditing firm meets with local human rights groups in order to learn what are the typical problems in the area. Fourth, the auditors review records and interview workers and managers at the facility, at the applicant facility, for evidence of compliance. When each step is satisfactorily completed, the facility can be certified for a 3-year term and is subject to 6 monthly surveillance audits. if a factory or worker or local group has evidence the certification was incorrectly given or withheld, they may appeal to the certification firm and then to SEPA for corrective action. Avon, Toys R Us, Eileen Fisher, CIM Promodes in France, Lega Co-op in Italy, We Europe in the Netherlands, and Otto Versand in Germany, each a company that buys from many, many suppliers, have stated that they are establishing policies and beginning to inform suppliers that demonstrated conformance to SA 8000 is desired. These retailers will, over time, require evidence that suppliers have evaluated their degree of conformance to SA 8000 and have applied for certification. Suppliers that are SA 8000 certified will be given preference, and as sizable proportions of a supplier base get certified, such certification will eventually be required. These and other retailers may offer technical assistance to suppliers who seek to meet the SA 8000 standard. An informational SA 8000 supplier's handbook is being developed to help suppliers learn about the standard and to simplify the compliance process. More formal training is also useful in courses, as I mentioned earlier. A list of all certified facilities, all accredited certification companies, and all accredited course providers is maintained by SEPA and made available on the World Wide Web. SEPA also will seek to track the costs and benefits of utilizing SA 8000. We expect to find that bottom line benefits will be analogous to those resulting from use of ISO 9000, ISO 14000, and QS 9000 used in the automobile industry, such as improvements in quality, productivity, worker morale, and reductions in employee turnover rates. So far, there is some anecdotal evidence. We are asking the certification auditors to collect and report to us at SEPA a considerable amount of data. There are some interesting examples so far. One manufacturer who changed to a more socially responsible but seemingly more costly production process found that its product rejection rate fell from 13% to 0.5%, selling 12% more product more than pays for the change, they said. One survey of implementers of QS 9000 reported that they have enjoyed benefits estimated to be 3 times as great as their cost of implementation. And for the curious, that auditor fees represented only about 15% of those costs, the lion's share being the changes made in order to come into compliance. Anecdotal evidence from ISO 14000 certified facilities supports this assumption. Additional research on the costs of getting it wrong is being undertaken in the UK and is closely related to efforts to evaluate the value of being considered an excellent brand. SEPA is eager to learn from and to participate in conversations among non-governmental organizations, unions, and business, in guidance committee meetings, advisory board meetings, formal and informal learning from SEPA auditors and from others. We are eager to give customers, consumers, the opportunity to know that goods offered to them were produced in an ethical workplace, to give our teenage children the opportunity to be sure that their latest fad is not manufactured by children younger than they, to reward with our custom, our orders, our investment, our business, those manufacturers and retailers whose workers are treated with respect and thus participate effectively in the workplace. Employees at all levels wish to work for a company that they can respect and that earns their loyalty. In the last 6 months, there have been 2 international conferences on social auditing and reporting, one in Canada and one in London. social reports to and with stakeholders are more and more being understood to be part of the way business verifies that its values are the satisfaction of its stakeholders.